Welcome to today's webinar, Email Remarketing Reboot, Innovative Strategies to Boost Conversions. Remarketing emails are a great way to ensure that your brand remains top of mind, so you can convert abandoning customers when they are ready to buy. Customers abandoning with an item in their cart, often from the checkout page, are highly engaged prospective customers, and thus should be treated as your top priority. Consumers are inundated with emails, so it's no surprise then that most emails end up lost in a sea of noise, or worse yet, referred to the spam folder. During this webinar, we will look at the 10 tips on how to optimize your email remarketing campaigns and stand out among your competitors by crafting the perfect email. Today, I'll be moderating the session and we'll discuss with Tom and Jacqueline the most innovative strategies to boost conversions through email remarketing. But before we get started, I'm going to cover a few housekeeping items. If you're tweeting, tweet with us using the handle @CybaInc and the hashtag conversion optimization. Also, we will make sure to make time for questions at the end of the webinar, so please submit your questions in the GoToWebinar chat panel that you should see on your screen now. And last but not least, we're recording this webinar and we'll make it available to you for later playback and sharing. So let's get started and let's meet our main speakers for today, Tom and Jacqueline. Jacqueline is one of our senior digital account managers, and Tom is the product marketing manager here at Cyba. For today's agenda, we will be looking into what it takes to boost conversions through design and user experience optimization, how to best engage with your customers with personalization, A/B testing, and retargeting efforts. Now let's toss it back over to Tom and Jacqueline to learn more about these top tips and how to effectively use them.
Great, thank you, Connor. Hi, everyone. So just before we start looking at how to optimize your email remarketing solution, well, we wanted to quickly start by looking at why it is so important to implement such a solution. And so that brings us to the cart abandonment challenge and the massive issue that it represents for e-commerce companies. So on average, 70% of customers with an item in their cart abandon before completing their transaction. This is obviously very frustrating for our customers, given all the money and all the time and effort that they've spent bringing customers to their website and building a great customer experience. And just to give you an idea of how massive this cart abandonment issue is, in 2017, more than $5 trillion were abandoned in carts globally. So of course, we are not saying that all of this abandoned revenue can be recovered. What we are saying is that by proactively and efficiently addressing this challenge and going after this lost revenue, well, you can outperform your direct competitors, and that even with a small uplift in recovered revenue, this can represent a significant amount of additional revenue for you. So with this said, now let's look at the next slide. So our first tip for today is around design, and the reason we are starting with this tip is that, well, according to Forbes, 94% of content with visuals get more total views than text-only content. So obviously, do not underestimate the importance of your email design, and don't forget that for your remarketing solution to perform at this critical point of the journey when the customer has abandoned his cart, well, they need a great visually appealing email to get them back to your website and to convert. So especially if you're going to send an abandoned customer an unsolicited email, well, they need to immediately recognize who it is from, right? So obviously the email subject line of your email will be very helpful for this, and actually we'll cover this later on during the webinar, but recognizable branding is also key. So for recognizable branding, obviously you want to make sure to include your logo in your emails, but also to use your brand's colors. So in the example here, we have the 365 Tickets USA logo twice, very visible at the top and the bottom of the email. And the email color palette also uses mainly green and gray, which are 365 Tickets USA main colors. The aspect of your email should also reflect your website. Again, you want your customer to recognize who the email is from as soon as possible. So by keeping the look and feel of your website and remarketing email consistent, well, you are going to offer a more recognizable experience and also will reinforce the impact of your overall email messaging. So what you want to do is, well, keep the same colors and fonts from your website, same for the visuals, the mood, and the overall tone. Now, looking at text versus images, obviously images will attract your viewers' attention. So you want to use truly appealing and professional looking hero banner images for your emails. And of course, it's also great if your image can sync up with your email overall message. The tricky thing here, though, is to find the right mix between images and text. Having too many images can actually cause your emails to go to spam. And in addition, images often get blocked, as many ESPs are now set up to automatically block images. Also, keep in mind that large images will take longer to load. I know we all want to impress readers with big and beautiful images, but the problem is that heavy image files may not load quickly, which will result in user frustration and in your potential customer ignoring your email. This is also why it's really important that information such as price, visuals, product description be all presented in plain text in your email. This way, even without your images loading, the reader can still understand the content of your remarketing email.
And for the last part, looking at the third point of the design, CTAs. Getting your customer to click on your CTA is the whole reason we've been working so hard on this email re-engagement campaign. When working with my clients, I stress the importance of using clear, strong, and appealing CTAs that will grab the attention of abandoning customers and will make them want to interact with your email. Your CTAs need to be eye-catching, placed correctly, and look natural with your brand. As a rule, your visitors should never have to look for them. For this, the color of your CTA is extremely important. You want to use a color that is part of your approved color palette so that it stands out of the rest of the content. Even the shape of your CTA can impact the number of clicks you receive. Make sure it works with the rest of your visual and looks like a button customers should actually be clicking on. Also, keep their placement central to your design. The CTA button should be noticeable from the rest of the content and should never be cluttered or boxed in. And of course, make sure they are big enough to be easily clicked on. Last but not least, when I work with my clients on creating the text for their CTAs, we make sure their goal is immediately apparent. Your readers should be able to understand from a glance what they'll get from a click. For this, use short messages to get your point across, pairing an action verb with an implied benefit. This will create a catchy action phrase like buy now or get a discount, return to your basket. Next. Okay, now for email copy. Let's look at the content of your email and how it should be written. I know we're building an email remarketing solution to get conversions, but by going for a hard sell tone, you risk alienating them. The approach I recommend to my customers is to use more of a helpful tone by highlighting how you're trying to help the customer. In fact, to comply with CAN-SPAM regulations, all re-engagement emails must be transactional, or in other words, coming to inform the customer about something and improving the experience. So in writing an email campaign, I go for clear and informational, with short, sharp sentences. 47% of email recipients open an email based on the subject line. With so many companies and advertisers trying to get companies' attention, your subject line is key to your email getting opened. It's the first impression and the first piece of copy that is guaranteed to be read or at least scanned. Just like for the tone of your re-engagement email, subject line should be operational and descriptive of the content. So go for sense over sensational. First, keep it short and clear. Your prospective customers need to immediately be able to understand what the email is about and what is its value. You don't want to scream at the customer by using caps or a lot of exclamation points. If you do this, your email will immediately come across as spammy and will end up in the trash folder. Also, don't try to trick them with overly catchy subject lines, as it might be sent straight to the spam folder by your customers' ESPs. Red flag words include free, cash, $, amazing, don't delete, etc. But this doesn't mean your subject line should be boring. Whether you choose to use something straightforward like you left something in your cart, create urgency, your cart is about to expire, or use humor, just make sure the reader knows exactly what the benefit of opening the email is. The last point, headline. Your headline needs to be clear and catchy as it sets the tone for the rest of your email and is your second and last touch point to convince your customer to read the rest of your email. So be sure to get your point across. Try using this key part of your email to create urgency, fear of missing out, or mention a discount or promotion when available. What I also like to stress to a customer is that it isn't quite yet time for a joke or an overly clever comment. I like to use a headline to make it immediately clear to your abandoning customer what the point of the email is.
All right, thank you. So now looking at personalization. So Accenture has found that 56% of people are more likely to buy from a brand that recognizes them by name. So imagine now if that brand can personalize its entire email experience. Again, as our inbox is constantly filled with irrelevant content, for your remarketing campaigns to perform, you need to not only prove to your prospective customers that, well, it is relevant to them, but also even personalized to them. The main form of personalization for remarketing email is product feed capture. So showing in the body of your remarketing email the products the customer had in his cart on that banner. So that includes a picture of the product, its name, quantity and price. All of this should be included in the feed, making it easier for customers to pick up where they left off. This really should be part of any email remarketing campaign, as product feed campaigns have higher click and conversion rate than generic emails. Also, though, if you use a product feed, make sure that you can rebuild all the items that were in your abandoned customer's cart. Another key thing to do to create personalization is to target your message, showing different messages, incentives, visual, or even promo code using intelligent segmentation. So showing different messages based, for example, on location, total cart value, type of items in the cart, stage in the buying process, etc. Addressing a first-time visitor differently from a repeat customer is also a great way to personalize your campaign. Tone of voice should be different based on the stage of the relationship. You need to address a first-time visitor differently than a repeat customer, making him or her more comfortable with your company and your brand. You can also decide, for example, to offer a specific promo for repeat customers only, thanking them for the business, for instance, and another one to first-time visitors only to make sure they actually do convert. Capturing customer information in real time and including it in the email is another great way to personalize your solution. This kind of dynamic content can be your client's first name, the destination and product that we're looking at, where they live, etc. And just for example, using a visitor's first name in the subject line of your email often means a higher open rate.
And another great form of personalization is incentivizing your high-value customers differently from your other customers. According to a Forrester report, 80% of those surveyed said if they were on the brink of abandonment, a promo code presented to them through either an email or an on-site engagement solution would likely convince them to stay and to complete their transaction. The report also shows that coupon codes and promo codes actually produce incremental spending as well. Promo codes are the best way to convince your customer to complete their transaction, but often my clients might not be willing to offer a discount to everyone. What I recommend to these clients are that they at least offer a discount to their high-value customers. When offering promo codes, there are 3 different options available: static, dynamic, and unique. As you can probably guess from the name, static promo codes always stay the same. These codes are easy to create and implement and require very little work from you. So you don't have to regularly change your promo code. I recommend using a catchy and easy code to remember, like ShopNow10, to encourage urgency. One concern with static codes is that they can be leaked online, but you can work around this issue by updating static promo codes on a regular basis, which we call dynamic codes. These codes are relatively easy to implement and also make it easier to see how your promo codes have performed from one period of time to another. Finally, we have unique promo codes, which generates a new and unique code each time an email is sent. This is a great option to reduce risk of promo code leakage. This obviously poses a major technical challenge for sites with a lot of traffic, especially if you have to generate millions of them.
Great. So now looking at fear of missing out. So just like Jacqueline just said, promo codes are definitely the best way to re-engage with your high value and high intent customer. That's when we see the highest uplift in terms of recovered revenue. But you can also do so with value drivers like creating urgency or fear of missing out that are great ways to push abandoned customers to complete their transaction now instead of waiting some more. And actually 68% of millennials have said that they have purchased due to fear of missing out, and that's just within 24 hours of filling it. So there are different ways you can create this fear of missing out effect. First, you can do so by building urgency. Urgency works great because customers know that whatever deal you offer on Black Friday, for example, well, they only have 1 day until it expires. So if they want your offer, they must act now. To build this sense of urgency, you can also offer a discount for a limited amount of time. What we would do is then put a countdown timer in your email, for example, or you can also let your customer know about an upcoming 1 day only deal and how they must hurry to get it. Another great way to create fear of missing out is to create a feeling of scarcity by showing that you have a limited supply. So I'm sure you've seen this on travel or retail sites with things like 1 dress only left in this size, or 3 people also viewing these products. And the best part here is that you're not only creating urgency by providing this information, but you're also providing valuable customer service by informing them about it. Another way to create fear of missing out is looking at constructing exclusivity. Again, fear of missing out is all about missing out on something. So you can create this feeling by offering customers access to something with limited access or membership only requirements. So example of this would be giving same-day shipping to certain customers only, or mentioning how certain people only with a certain card value can get free shipping. You can also offer gifts or discount to certain people only. So people, for instance, who buy certain products, or people who have over $100 worth of items in their cart.
And of course, you can also use other value drivers like mentioning current incentives or discounts you have going on, or even just highlighting the best-selling products you have on your website.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. Now that we've looked at the design and the copy of your remarketing email, let's look at how your email solution should be built and what are the main UX elements you need to have. First thing to look at when working on your email UX is to make sure your email templates have a mobile-friendly layout and use responsive design to enable multi-device responsiveness. According to an Adobe study, 88% of millennials report that they regularly use a smartphone to check emails, and 80% of users say that emails not optimized for mobile devices get deleted. So don't alienate your prospective customers with a poor customer experience. In addition, according to Comscore, browsing through mobile device has overtaken desktop, a trend that's only set to continue. And by 2020, 45% of all online conversions will come from mobile. So again, make sure to use a responsive design that will present content to users in a way that is both functional and attractive, regardless of the size of the user's device. Email remarketing is the best performing marketing solution available, but campaign performance is very much based on your email capture rate. Looking at my customers, I see an average capture rate of about 10 to 15%, but this can vary from 5 to 50% depending on how the customer site is built. There are 3 ways for us to capture email addresses. Having your customer log into your site even before reaching the checkout or cart page is without a doubt the best way to collect a large number of email addresses, even if your customers drop off from the cart page or mid-checkout before submitting their details. But from experience, a high number of people will not want to log into your site unless they are strong repeat customers. With real-time keystroke capture technology, you can collect email addresses live at the field level as it is typed in by the customer. With this functionality, your campaigns don't have to be limited to pre-existing registered customers or those already signed in. With this in mind, placing the email address field at the top of any registration or checkout process will increase the probability for it to be completed. The third and last way to capture email addresses is through an on-site overlay, promoting the customer to give their email address before leaving the site. This is a great way to capture email addresses from product pages. Top funnel customers use your shopping cart differently, using it more as a product wish list than as an actual cart, adding items to their cart without a real intent to buy, but more to remember as they are continuing to browse. Last but not least, don't send emails to people who are not interested and might potentially mark your email as spam. hurting your ESP reputation, and maybe even landing on your blacklist. The best way to avoid this is to make it easy for these people to unsubscribe and for your solution to have an option to blacklist specific people.
Now looking at cascading campaigns, one thing we always recommend to our customers is to do cascading campaigns. So sending a series of up to 3 emails to best keep your customer engaged and keep your brand top of mind until they convert. Sometimes customer might be busy or feel like they need more time to make up their mind about buying something. And because of this, if you only send them one remarketing email, well, they might forget about it. So according to our data, abandoned customers who receive multiple remarketing emails are 2.4 times more likely to complete their purchase than those who receive only one follow-up email. So looking at the first re-engagement email that we usually send 45 minutes after abandonment, these emails are the ones with the highest conversion rate, with 62% of remarketing email conversion coming from them. Then we usually recommend sending a second email 24 hours after the initial abandonment. This further increases the average conversion rate, and for us, we see on average 20% of our conversions coming from those. From experience, 24 hours is usually the best time lapse to send a second email after the initial abandonment, but the right timing for the second email or the third email might be different based on your sector. So make sure to A/B test the different send times if you think you need a different timing for your campaigns. The third email still continues to add value with about 10% of our conversion coming from this third email. This is likely your last chance to re-engage with your customers. So at this point, you should create a sense of urgency or give some form of incentive if your customer hasn't converted yet. Beyond this point, so beyond this third email, any additional email will usually add little value according to our numbers. So even for sectors with a longer sales cycle, more than sending a fourth or a fifth email, which we could do, what we usually recommend is for our customers to try timing their email sends differently.
All right, let's now take a look at how to make sure your email reach your potential clients. Email deliverability failure is when your message is either routed to the junk folder or blocked by an ISP, Internet Service Provider. The better your campaigns are, the higher your rate. First, successful deliverability is impacted by your use of all of the recommendations we covered earlier, like descriptive subject lines, text-to-image ratio, formatted for mobile viewing, and unsubscribe links. But also based on more technical aspects like your email sending platform authentication and email reputation. For example, you should not send email in batches since it's tend to be flagged as spam and will impact your email reputation. You should also use a dedicated IP address just for your email remarketing emails, as commercial emails get flagged as spam a lot more. It will take a bit of time for your IP address to get a good reputation, so working with a recognized email remarketing partner with a trusted IP address like Cyba is a lot easier. Last but not least, select a Slender Policy Framework, SPF, to provide ESPs with the assurance you are who you say you are, making them more likely to deliver your message to the inbox. I know this can seem extremely overwhelming, but it's nothing to stress over since Cyba takes care of this for you. Okay, so now that we've optimized your email remarketing campaign and it's up and running with some additional performance metrics under your belt, it's time to start testing. A/B testing is a really important element of optimizing any campaign. You and your account manager should always be looking to improve campaign performance by testing alternative subject lines, promotions, CTAs, messaging, and imagery across your email remarketing solutions. One of the most impactful A/B tests is testing value drivers, like a reminder of the flat rate shipping fee you offer up against a percentage of discount. This is a great test to run for brands that are more sensitive to promotional discounts, so you can test the overall value of running a promotion compared to a value driver. By always testing elements of the campaign, we're able to optimize to target with the right message, value driver, and visual that will engage your audience and ensure a successful campaign.
All right, last tip for today. So retargeting, We wanted to conclude our webinar today by talking a little bit about display retargeting, and the reason for this is, as Jacqueline mentioned, remarketing email are definitely one of the best performing marketing solutions available out there, but campaign performance is very much based on how many email addresses you capture, right? And so with the average email capture rate being under 10%, what this means is that you will miss out on 90% of your opportunities to re-engage offsite with high value, high intent customers. So that brings us to display retargeting, which allows you to re-engage with all your high value and high intent paying customers, no matter whether you could capture the email address or not. And just like with email remarketing, with display retargeting, well, you can also capture your customer interaction with your site to personalize the solution, using segmentation strategies to show to your abandoned customers the most relevant and personalized display ad. And actually even using dynamic ads, what we can do is even show to your abandoned customers the specific products that they looked at, and even suggest other products they could be interested in based on their browsing history and interests. So again, for all these reasons, we always recommend to our customer to use both display retargeting and email remarketing alongside each other. Don't really mean to plug Sidebar solution here, but with Sidebar display retargeting solution being a CPA base and using a single attribution model like our email remarketing solution, what that means is that you only pay once per conversion. So no matter how many of our solutions were used to bring back the abandoned customer, well, you only pay once, which saves you money compared to working with multiple providers. All right, Connor. So I don't know if we got any questions during the webinar.
So we have time for just a few questions before we wrap up. The first question that we have is, do you also offer solutions to capture email addresses for lead gen campaigns?
Yeah, so that's a good question. During this webinar, we were really just looking at remarketing email, but so yes, using our on-site overlay, what we can do for our customers is help them capture email addresses for their newsletter or for any kind of lead gen campaign they would want to do. So again, we're mainly talking about how to bring back offsite customer when they leave something in their cart, but we can also definitely use our email solution more to capture email addresses and do lead gen campaigns.
So the next question that we have is it legal to send emails to people who didn't proactively ask to be contacted?
Yeah, so that's also another question we get all the time. So Jacqueline mentioned earlier how remarketing emails are transactional emails, so they are informational emails that just come to help the customer remember what they had in their cart and to guide them. So that's key, the fact that they're transactional, because that's the reason why we can actually send them those emails without the customer proactively agreeing or giving his consent to get an email. If we sent commercial emails, then we could not send that without, again, the customer previously agreeing to be contacted.
The next question we have here is there anything we can do to improve our email capture rate?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So I know I had mentioned before about capturing those login customers, but my first suggestion would definitely be that we make sure that we're capturing all login customers who are abandoning on the site. These customers log in when they get to the site, they browse around, they add an item to their cart, and then they abandon on those product or category pages. Without capturing their email address at the login level, then we're excluding this large number of customers who have shown intent to buy. So that's my first suggestion. And second suggestion would be that we make sure the email field is top of funnel within the checkout page. So for example, if I'm on the checkout page and then it goes first name, last name, billing address, even potentially your credit card information, and then the email field, most customers, by the time they get to the email field, will already complete their purchase after entering all that information. So if you move the email field to the top funnel, so it's one of the first sections that they'll fill out, that will definitely increase your capture rate.
Okay, Connor, maybe let's take one or two more questions. I mean, if we have.
Yeah, we have two more questions here that we can go over. The first question we have is, do you have any tips for someone in something other than the retail area of business, i.e. restaurants?
Oh yeah, that's a good point. In the webinar, clearly we're just looking at retail. Also often remarketing email, that works great for retail customer, but definitely also for restaurants or more lead gen sites. We can also do email remarketing. Here, obviously, you wouldn't be rebuilding your cart, but we can capture the customer email if they reach the checkout page trying to book something, and then send them an email saying, hey, we noticed you are interested in booking a table or making a reservation with us, and either say, well, we have more table available that one day, that one week, or just offering for them to contact you. So yeah, that's actually a really good point. We tend to talk about retail a bit more, but that can apply for. Do you agree?
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and especially you can offer them in the email, a special to come back and get a free appetizer or a special promotion to really entice them to come back and to make a reservation. So we can easily do that.
Okay.
Okay, so we have time for one last question here before we wrap up. What kind of uplift can we expect with email remarketing?
I'll take that one.
Yeah.
So again, we said it. Email remarketing, it does perform great. People will check their email. It's a great way to re-engage with them. Now we do see quite variation in performance depending on first capture rate and also on the quality of the email. Also, promo codes. There is no secret. If you give 10% off, we see a much higher uplift. Mm-hmm. But I would say on average, 3% uplift seems reasonable with email remarketing. Again, not trying to plug retargeting, but with retargeting, we're more around 5 to 10%. Again, the main reason for that is that we can go after all the high value, high intent customers, not just the ones whose email address we could capture. All right.
So that's all the time we have for today. And we're getting a few comments about getting the slides. Don't worry, as I mentioned, we will email you the full recording of this presentation. Finally, I would like to thank again Tom and Jacqueline for taking time to talk with us today. And of course, I would also like to thank our audience for joining us today. You can continue the conversation with us on Twitter or email us at marketing@sypa.com to get more information on all of this and work with our team of experts to set up optimized email remarketing campaigns for your businesses today.
Awesome. Thank you, Connor. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, guys.